Good afternoon, everyone. We're a little speedy today. I am, but I just wanted to get everything going today. We got a pretty fun show. I would say I did a little test as well. I did a little stock market report on the channel. So I hope you guys all enjoy the little finance spoof I did on EVs and all that good stuff. Did you catch it at all?
I did. I
Jack?
actually watched it. I watched it while I was waiting on this. That was really informative. But
Oh,
I,
cool.
I like when I like those deep dives on the stocks when you do that. That
Yeah.
was, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you're kind of honestly my inspiration to do that because whenever we talk about on the show, like I don't really have the ability to really go to like deep depth into those stocks. It's kind of like a little fun, little quick little show, and I think people tend to kind of take towards those shorter kind of deals, whatever. But how's your week been?
It's been pretty good. I spent the weekend in the mountains of North Carolina. Little shout out to Michael Baker there.
Oh wow.
Michael, I was in Boone, North Carolina, which is about 3.5 hours north of me. And just to put it in perspective for you, that's where Appalachian State is located. And if you recall, their big claim to fame was they beat Michigan
Yeah.
several years back. So yeah, I was in the town of Boone, North Carolina, kind of beating the heat a little bit, and so I came back really charged and ready to get to work. So I've been making phone calls and getting in touch with past clients and just making some connections, trying to make some things happen. How's yours been?
It's been okay. We are kind of in the middle of a lot of things going on. We're painting the house, so that during Labor Day weekend, and we're getting ready to acquire the house from my dad, and he's on his way back home to the Philippines. He just doesn't. We were thinking he would stay a little bit longer, but with the weather getting really cold over here, it's really bad for his knees, and he's he's healthy. He's healthier than me. It feels like sometimes, but so he's leaving on the 21st, and we kind of need to get things kind of going. So on that forefront, I'm pretty busy with work. It's been just kind of what you're referring to, just calling people up and trying to keep the community informed. I'm actually starting, and I think I'll talk about it eventually once I get kind of going here. I'm actually going to be approved to take first home buyer classes. So yeah, so I'm really excited about that. I'll be partnering with a realtor here in Washington, and I think it'll be every state has different programs. So if you're not a homeowner now and you don't have a down payment, I think we should maybe do like a small little show kind of explaining what the process is for that. Yeah, so I'm kind of gearing up for that. It's been a lot of my time, which is good. So um, it's good that you got to relax in good old Appalachian area and all that good stuff. So I'm happy to hear that, man. It's good.
Awesome.
And you're dressed 20 times than I am, so that's great. um, yeah. So let's see. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so is it starting to get cold there, or you're just kind of prepping for that time of year when the temperature changes?
Washington, especially the Pacific Northwest area, has the most unpredictable weather in the world. I swear to God. So the past weekend, it rained on one day, and then in the middle of the day, it got like to 80 degrees, and then by 5 o'clock, we were back down to like 55. So you're wet, you dried off, and then you're freezing your butt off again. It's so weird, man. It's the weirdest weather ever. But with that, answer your question, September, I had my sweatshirt on Monday, and then I turned on the air conditioning again today. Like it's just
Wow.
really unpredictable. We just got to get him out of here. I mean, like, I don't want his knees to freeze up and all that stuff. So, no, I'm just saying, man, it's just like it's so weird. It's just so consistent. Can't prep for anything, but definitely 103. I'm not missing that, and it's way cooler than it's here than it was in the Philippines. But yeah, I know you guys just consider hot and beach life and all that good stuff, right?
It's so it was funny because it actually got a little cool here because the that tropical storm blew through here, so it kind of took the kind of took the heat and moved it. So it was really comfortable leading up to that, which is why we were, it was hot, so that's why we were going to the mountains to kind of get away from the heat. But I wore shorts in the mountains the entire time.
Oh, that's so funny.
It wasn't really it wasn't really as bad as as I took jeans and stuff and ended up wearing shorts pretty much the whole time. But it was not as humid. That's our big issue here is the humidity.
Yeah, yeah. I bet, man. It's no fun. And I don't know if anyone saw this, but I was kind of talking about earlier in the show. I did a quick little blurb here, so I guess you guys check it out. Just kind of a fun little episode here on automotive EV stocks. It's separate from our live shows here, but I did kind of pre-recording. It's a little 15-minute video, guys. Check it out. Let me know how I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep people informed and do a nice little segment for the show in general. But yeah, we got 3 lives so far, which is great. And yeah, thanks for the November rain. Gosh, man, that's like one of the longest videos I've ever watched. Like growing up as a kid. You remember that video with Guns N' Roses, GNFNR?
Oh yeah. Played November Rain. Yeah.
I love that. That and that Meatloaf song was like, God, I forget the name of the song, but
Paradise by the Dashboard Lights.
No, it's it's a ballad, and he looks like a monster in it. And gosh, I can't remember the name of it. It's not November Rain, but it's the same kind of like concept. Oh gosh. Anyway, that'll be the giveaway question for the next episode. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Funny. Speaking of Guns N' Roses, I had a notification on my calendar that I remind myself every year. Tomorrow is the anniversary of the day that I saw Guns N' Roses and Metallica. They played where University of South Carolina plays.
That's awesome.
Played, yeah. It's it was, when did I see 1992 on tomorrow in 1992 I went to that concert.
Wow.
And Faith No More opened for both of them, so that was yeah,
rocking out. That's awesome. I love it, man.
Yeah. I think you got it there, Michael Baker. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Excellent.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, now we got a good crew going on. I'm just gonna get into the show right away because I know your segment. I'm actually, I try to keep my segments as small as possible because I really wanted to hear about your segment, which I thought was really more current for the times. Mine's actually a little boring. So, but here, Sunsets to South with Fernando. What's going on, man? You're gonna say something?
I do not find your segment boring. So just, if you need any affirmation, I think everybody looks forward to it. And if you're watching us for the first time or watching on the replay, make sure you follow us on you post your dailies on Sunset to South on Instagram, right? Or do you do it on your Ferdbird the Nerd?
I do it. I do the dailies. I try to. I may kind of do it on both YouTube and it's just really hard to find content to talk about. And I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself too, and I don't know. I think I kind of want to do a little bit more in-depth stuff and just kind of on one. And it's so hard, like current stuff. But no, I will keep them on Sunset to South primarily. So, but yeah, look out for some new things coming up. We'll make announcements as well via Instagram, all like this stuff too. So let's see. So I don't know what week we're on, but I know we've got at least 20 videos after this one. But I wanted to kind of talk about, so we've been talking about stocks, and I think people have asked really good questions in the chat, but no one's actually talked about the mechanism or, technical stuff or like, hey, for like, I only have this much. What should I buy? Or like what stocks to look for primarily? And I'll always just try and recommend stocks to make sense to people, but I'll never say like buy this or buy that. It's just kind of like, this is what I look at. Here's an idea. It's a little bit more concrete, and do what you will with it. That kind of thing. So, um, hopefully you guys find this part of our show kind of interesting. So, oh man, but anyway, I picked 3 stocks today. Just I don't want to overwhelm anybody in the chat or on the replay, but this is kind of what I think is good to start with when you have like a not a huge amount of money, but just something to kind of get a feel for investing. So I picked MasterCard, Costco, and the Real. And I'm pretty sure everyone knows the first 2, correct, Brad?
Yes.
Yeah, astounding, yes, right? The
Yes.
third one was a little bit of a more, I guess, unique and inexpensive, quote unquote, company. So I wanted to kind of keep it like companies that are like consistent, kind of your backbone, your going back to comic books, like your wall books, right? For stocks. I picked these 2 because they're well-known companies. However, in these times, I feel even with high interest rates, economy and what's doing, these are pillars to the S&P 500, in my opinion. First off, I'll start with MasterCard. Everyone knows payment processor. They're going to make money regardless if it's a debit card or credit card. In some cases, they make money in PayPal transactions, which I'm sure you and I do quite a bit of. They're growing internationally versus Visa card. I don't have the actual stats to go through it, but what I will do, I'll make a video of these 3 so that if you are interested in kind of why I looked into these, you can look at that video later down the road. But it's got nice cash flow because you have that moat of people using their MasterCard every time they swipe a MasterCard. MasterCard gets like a 1 to 2% fee, which is called your interchange fees, if you're more interested in that. It pays a healthy dividend. It's been pretty consistent through, its IPO back in 2006, I want to say. And it's a growing business. I went to the Philippines last year, and the first time I went there in 2000, I went back in 2001. I went there. You could barely use credit card anywhere, and that's for 22 years later. The resort we stayed at, albeit it was a pretty big fee, you could use a credit card, and I just think that's such a drastic change in how commerce is now done as well. How many dollars do you keep in your wallet nowadays, right? You know what I mean?
Right. You said in your wallet?
Yeah, I mean, like, you leave to go to the grocery store. Back in the day, you'd have like $40, $50 in your wallet. Like, how much cash do you have now?
I think I've got a $10 bill in my wallet that I just forgot about.
Exactly. Yeah. And so Visa is a great company, and American Express is great as well. But MasterCard, it's all about growth. You want to be in something solidified, but they had pretty big headways in Europe when the IPO came out. They were a sponsor of the World Cup, so I mean, imagine the exposure in 2006. And I know last time I checked, we talk about NFTs a lot in the OTR chat or OTR show, and when Marcus was talking about that, it really opened my eyes to like, man, there's just so much more growth with this or ever-changing economy and how money moves. And I think MasterCard's always going to be a big part of that. What do you think? Do you have any questions about this pick, quote unquote, for your starter portfolio?
I'm really surprised that you went to the Philippines in 2001 and you couldn't use a card.
It was very few and far between. Like vendors, like you go to like little market, it's just all cash. Nowadays they have like a phone, and they had the NFC chip with the phone or like an iPad, so it's a little bit easier to do that. And so yeah, it's just more. I guess the point I was trying to make is like there's still growth opportunities in other areas of the world. So
Sure, yeah.
it's still a growing business, which I think is great.
Well,
yeah, surprising.
I went to our minor league team, the Fireflies, Columbia Fireflies, and
Sure.
it is from parking to the ballpark and everything from but the time you get there to the time you leave, it is cashless. There's
Mhm.
you can't use cash is worthless there. You have to have a card. So you park in the garage, they tap your card, you go park. And
Yeah.
it's really seamless, but everything is getting that way to the point where it's, you hate to you have people come up to you and want, hey, you got a couple of bucks. It's like, sorry, I really don't. I honestly do not. I mean, I don't carry cash. It's so convenient not to. And Michael Baker, we're getting ready to get into Costco, but Michael Baker asked how they only have Sam's Club. So I'd say they're very similar. Sam's Club is owned by Walmart.
Walmart. Yeah. Yeah. I I don't know. Like I've never been to a Sam's Club before. I gotta imagine that the reason Sam's Club was like it's failed here. It just couldn't get any headway. But I gotta imagine that, and I'll get into this in a little bit. I gotta imagine that was like Sam's Club's kind of like test or want to kind of have a more affluent uh client base, quote unquote, versus just like a regular Walmart customer. Um, but yeah, Mastercard, yeah, they're making partnerships with like bigger companies as well. They had a partnership with, or yeah, they took over. Oh no, Visa took a partnership with Costco. So that's a pretty big vendor right there. We're talking about the next. But yeah, Mastercard. I think it's something to look at. It's it's not, these aren't sexy picks, right? These are just kind of picks that like, oh, I know Mastercard. We kind of understand like the thought process that we have, and just things to look out for. Because your money, I don't want you to be risky. We can look at risky stocks, and we're going to look at one later down in this list later. But for now, Mastercard, I like it for a starter portfolio and all that good stuff. So
It's a name that everybody's familiar with, and we're thinking,
right,
you know, something you're familiar if you're just starting out, something you're familiar with to kind of
exactly,
dip your toe in the water, so to speak.
yeah. And like these stocks, like you don't gotta buy 100 shares. You can buy like 2 or 3 just to get you started, or like your kid 2 or 3, just kind of get them, get your, put your toe, dip your toe in the water, so to speak. So, and next, obviously Costco. Michael, we don't. The last Sam's Club that we had it was closed. I think it was just bad location. It was in between a Costco and Amazon fulfillment center. Not doesn't really have necessarily anything to do anything, but I think what really killed it was next to an Asian kind of like grocery area. So it's more that area is more tailored to like the Asian community where I live. And I don't know, it's just kind of an awkward area. That's the last Sam's Club I've ever seen open, but we do have a couple Walmarts around here, so it's still there. But Costco is actually, I don't know if you knew this, Brad, but Costco is from Kirkland. It was started in Kirkland, Washington, which is about 45 minutes away from where I live. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, Costco's a Northwest company. Um, they're really close to their Microsoft campus, their headquarters, which is kind of funny. Um, they're a leader in retail technology for sure. I would say that. And everyone's got a Costco card, whether you live in a little studio apartment. Well, maybe not, but like it doesn't matter if you have one, if you're a single person or if you have a family of 5. Everyone has a Costco card. It's they treat their employees very well. It paid a dividend. I swear, when the toilet paper like kind of panic was going on, it was videos of not at Walmart, not at your local QFC or Best Buy or like any other store. It was always Costco, I swear. And people were cutting out carts full of toilet paper out of Costco. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so here we started with Sam's Club.
Okay.
And the buzz for Costco was so huge that when they opened, and they opened, I would say probably no more than, I'd say maybe 3 to 5 miles away from the Sam's Club. but that buzz, that name just carried some weight to it, where I think people who even had the Sam's Club card went and joined Costco also,
Oh wow.
just because of that name, that notoriety, that
Hmm.
its brand, its brand was well known, and it's finally attaining something that you don't have access to, was kind of like
Sure.
a, kind of felt like an elite club or something.
Yeah, sure. Kind of reminds me of like we're talking about having a Cane's chicken come up here, and everyone is going crazy for it, present company included, just because of all the stories we hear about Cane's chicken. Like I see that same kind of like fervor for Costco over in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Uh, um, but yeah, so this is kind of what edges Costco versus like other retailers in general. So I used to work at Target. I actually worked there part time. I was working at a financial company. I needed to kind of compensate for my income, so I worked part time at Target. It was kind of a fun job, and I worked there during the pandemic. And yes, I live in Seattle, which is pretty, we're a pretty liberal area, but there was just a lot of like homeless people, and just what I mean. And Seattle passed a law stating that it's not a felony as long as you steal something under $20. Well, that opened the floodgates to good old Target, and I left. Um, I left the city in general, kind of sidebar, but so you see videos of people going into like a Louis Vuitton and stealing a bunch of stuff, and going into Target, Rite Aid, what have you. It's really unfortunate for, I think, for those people that work there, because one, they can't do anything about it, and then two, it's like, well, shoot, like now they got to spend money on security. They have to hire more security guards. There's like less stuff for you and I to like, buy at these places. I don't know if it's that bad in South Carolina. Is it that bad in South Carolina? Like people stealing and stuff?
No, it's not as bad as what I've seen on television in other parts of the world, or other parts of the United States. It's not like,
Okay.
I saw what was it, the Nordstrom's video. Did
Yeah,
you see?
like Bloomingdale's like Beverly Hills or something like
Yeah, where
that.
they
Yeah.
just bum rush the door, and there, I mean, there wasn't enough, there wasn't enough security to handle everything. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think here you get the death penalty if you steal a candy bar. So that's the difference. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. This is a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more communal, I think, is what the difference is from where I think we live. Or where I live, sorry, but yeah, I mean, it's just really unfortunate. I don't know what to say, but when I was thinking of retail, because I want to invest in those companies, because Target, I don't know if you guys heard this, but they're projecting 500 million to $1 billion in losses over theft. Target, not retail. Target itself. That's one company. I mean, as an investor, that's something you don't want to really, be a part of, quote unquote. Um, Michael Baker, and when the business closed and leaves the area because of lost revenue, that's a little foul play, and yeah, it's just bad for the whole community, in my opinion. Um, Great comment, Michael Baker, as always. But Costco, believe it or not, has very little. It's like 4.5% theft from people, and a lot of it has to do with like internal theft. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. And the other thing too about Costco is very unique is they really have, I wouldn't say the upper hand, but they have definitely an advantage to their margins, because they will partner with like a Pepsi or Coca-Cola. I forgot what company it is that they don't carry anymore, but it's like either Pepsi or Coca-Cola. They don't carry that particular soda anymore because Costco said we're charging us way too much money. This is affecting our members. We will no longer carry your product. And this is like a major soda. And the members didn't care. It wasn't like members were like, well, I'm not gonna shop at Costco anymore. They're just like, oh, I'm just gonna buy that soda from Costco. Um, and yes, when you need a forklift to pick up a package, it makes it hard to steal.
That's right.
Also, Also, the fact that you have to be a member and show your card every time also makes it hard to steal. Very simple kind of thing, right? But it's like you're going to pay $10 to go to Rite Aid, right? It's just a different kind of like culture with the company. The other reason I love it as a retailer is just they treat their employees really well. So, if you have loyal employees and employees that stay at a company for a very long time, have very little turnover, it makes the business run very smoothly. And so, CEO is just one of those top 100 CEOs in America. It's just a very admired company, and it pays a dividend, a little tiny dividend. It's trading around $525 a share, so it is pretty steep. However, again, this is just a company to kind of think about, or just a comparison to think about for kind of what you should look at when you're starting your own investment portfolio. What do you think about this pick?
I think that's great. I've got a client who's relocating here who transferred to the Costco here. So they got so they'll be working at Costco when they move here.
That's great.
And but you did forget the third and probably most important thing about Costco: the hot dogs.
Hot dog, yeah, that's right. The hot dog.
Can't beat the hot dogs, man.
Cannot beat the hot dogs. The pizzas. I think the what is it? The frozen yogurt's like a close second, but yeah, the hot dog, man. It's institutional need. And I wouldn't be mad if they put it to $1.99. I wouldn't be mad about that. But
no, it's awesome.
And James pouring some knowledge here. They're making inroads in prescriptions. Don't need membership to use their pharmacy. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and I think it's like Costco's like the ultimate like gauge. I think also in the economy, right? Because it's kind of that middle class like luxury, quote unquote, with. So if Costco's doing well, I think that America's doing okay. That's kind of another reason I like it. Anyway, and my last one, I doubt you know about this company. I've never used it before personally, but I have friends that have. It's the Real, and actually, this stock is it's about $2.80, I want to say. But what they do is it's kind of a consignment for luxury goods online. So they're predominantly online. It's a retailer. You can buy it. It's kind of like StockX for luxury goods. I don't know if they sell like collectibles on there necessarily, but it's more geared towards like females or people that are into fashion. I don't have like a Rent the Runway type of like portion of the website. But that might be something to look into also. But they're basically an intermediary between the consumer and the seller. So it's kind of like eBay, but the thing is they can authenticate. So you're not just buying stuff on eBay that's fake. So you kind of have that. That's what you pay the premium for. Again, it trades around $2.70 a share. So if you're someone that's like, I just want to have I want to get into something that's under $10 a stock or a share, might be something to look into. It was a pandemic darling. It was like $17 a share, but it's growing revenues. And I think it's pretty like low risk. I could also see it being like an acquisition target for like Amazon, like how Amazon bought Zappos a long time ago. I see that happening for them to just kind of expand their space and not have to rebrand into Amazon. So so just kind of a little fun, a little bit riskier, just because it's around $3 a share kind of stock there. So,
but if you want to grab some and just kind of follow it and see,
sure,
you're not, it's low risk, and you just want to kind of track it and kind of learn the ropes, following a low, a lower stock just to kind of feel your way around. That's not a bad pick. Now, how did you hear about that? I'd never heard of them.
I think I was looking for a year ago. I was really into like dressing nice and going to the office and all that stuff. So I was looking actually for a Burberry trench coat, and I just typed it in like consignment, and they showed up. And I just kind of would like shop there, or not just browse around. But I was like, I don't know. I mean, like it's kind of weird to buy luxury goods online This is before the pandemic, but then the pandemic hit, and it seemed like it was weird because like people weren't going out, so it's like you could like show off stuff. But they were doing pretty well during the pandemic. So that's kind of how I heard about it. Literally, they hit my algorithm that one time. So anyway, check it out. And I always say this. I always try and reiterate, like, do your own research, of course. But if you have questions, like always ask like me or Brad. Like I love talking about this stuff, as you can tell. So when someone has interest in it, I'll talk to you for like 2 hours on the phone. I don't know if Brandon's in the chat, but Brandon Arcanato, he played football at the school I went to like years ago, and he's actually plays in the XFL for the San Antonio team, one that won the XFL championship.
Very cool.
So he's a realtor in Orange County, and he calls me every once in a while. Maybe we have him on the show one of these days. We like basically talk for 2 hours about just stuff. No, so I'm always open to just like text me, shoot me an Instagram, DM, whatever. I'm more than happy to help you guys out, throughout your process of this financial stuff. So, under our next segment, West Coast real estate. So this is a little 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Greenwood. Greenwood is like in between the north end of Seattle and south end of Seattle. It's about 15 to 20 minutes downtown. There's no garage. It's brand new build, and it's about 1,000 square feet. That'll get 600K.
That is, that's interesting.
It's a new build too, so I don't know what the margins are for like new builds right now, but I kind of imagine like it's gotta be, if you're a builder, you build that, you want it out like the next day it's listed. I don't know how long this home, I think it's been on Redfin for about 2 days, so it's fairly new, but 600K, man, no garage. Just gotta rely on
just slab. You can see at the bottom. I mean, it's just slab. A slab built on a slab, and I would imagine they put them up pretty quick. Does that seem expensive to you living in the area, or does that seem about right, or is that inexpensive?
I mean, the location's a little bit closer to Seattle, so it makes sense. And the bus line, if you're really going to play that card, it's pretty easy to get a bus. But just the thought of like not having like to pay 600K for a house and have a garage, like it's kind of like you might as well just like live downtown and buy a $600,000 condo. It's kind of my thought process.
Yeah,
I don't know, because that's just a tough one for me. Lifestyle wise, it doesn't make sense to me. To answer your question, price wise, I think it's like 50,000 too much. I didn't put the address here, so it's not like I'm exactly hating on them or whatever, but I think it's like 50K too much. But location. So
this has become our favorite, one of our favorite segments that we do on Wednesdays. So mine, in contrast, will make you want to move to South Carolina.
It does every time. And I think I just feel like whenever I show you something, I'm like, oh, and then you're like, geez. And then when you show me something, I'm like eyes wide open, and you're like laughing at me. So
it's like, holy cow. Yeah.
Oh my. All right. Go ahead. That's
all
awesome.
Right. So this is the back of the house. It's all brick. It's built on a crawl space. It is 4-bedroom. It says 4-bath. It's probably 3.5 baths. That's how Zillow usually rounds up, but it's probably a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, almost 3,000 square feet, built in 2006. 2-car garage, large deck on the back there that is in between the bushes there on the back, and of course the beautiful pool there. So, and then this is it's in Lexington, South Carolina. That's a suburb of Columbia for those that aren't familiar. Suburb of Columbia. It's a great town. They've got really good schools. That's where I went to high school in Lexington.
Okay.
But this house was recently reduced $5,000. So I talk about it all the time. You know, if I see that happen and I've got a buyer and they're looking in the $600,000 range, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing blood in the water. Now there's a few things that need to be updated, but I'm looking at this and I'm seeing like, okay, we can they're not at their bottom yet. If you've reduced it $5,000 just to kind of bring it to people's attention, there's probably some room in there. So I would have a field day negotiating, you know, the best I could get for my clients on something like this. But it's crazy, isn't it, that you could get an all brick 3,000 square foot house with a pool for the same price as that 1,000 square foot 2 bedroom 2 bath
No,
number.
no, garage, like, it's,
Yeah,
it's insane. I mean, and Seattle, like the tech hub of the West Coast, or like a tech hub of the West Coast, and all that. It's like it's very like, well, it's like lifestyle thing, right? Like minimalist kind of like lifestyle. But come on, man, like three times the house, and like you have a pool, you have a garage, you probably have like a 3-car garage, and this is actually what really intrigued me about this property is it's built in 2006, so it's probably it's got good bones, if that's what people always say. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like whenever I see someone like reduced by 5,000, I'm like, that doesn't get me in the door. That just
right.
makes you sound deep. I don't, or like you're not really trying. If you like reduced 10,000, then we can talk. But as
Yeah,
far as negotiating is concerned, I get you. Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Because
Um.
that makes me want to do my research and just figure out, okay, where should they be? And
Sure.
Michael Baker is he gets a gold star this week because he's remembering
He
stuff
sure
we've talked
does.
about from previous episodes. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if this pool, I mean, it looks like they've got a little wider the stone around the pool looks like it's a little more than traditional, like a little wider than traditional. So they've probably, I would think probably this was done maybe even before these buyers owned it, would be my guess. But you're right. I mean, they're not, if they invested 30 grand in the pool, they're not they're not really getting their money's worth. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's there are some exceptions to that, but just in general, if you're starting out, I would say it's probably, you're not, now if you've got 3 kids and you want them to spend time outside, there
Yeah.
is some benefit to having the pool. But if I'm buying a house that already has one, I mean, heck yeah, I'm gonna have pool parties every weekend.
I, I
Yeah, I'm
think
gonna
I think
take
with the pool,
advantage
it's
of it.
more like it's like I'm gonna be here for like 20 years. I'm gonna put a
Yeah.
pool in the house.
Yeah, we want the
My
kids, we want the kids to grow up
the
outside.
memories. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just I actually I was in Eastern Washington. I was talking with my wife's cousin Albert, and they have a 1 acre out there, and he already built a basketball court. They got plenty of room too, and then they have a workshop. It's really cool. I was like, hey, I was kind of joking with him. I was like, I also put a pool in there. He's like, yeah, actually, we're doing that next summer. We want everyone to come over and like enjoy. And it gets hot over. It's like 100. It's like 100 degrees over in Eastern Washington.
Wow.
But yeah, and he's like, they're not going to move from the house. They have 3 kids, so it makes sense for them to have. The kids are young too. Like the youngest is like 6, the oldest is like 10 or 11. So got some years to get that pool usage. You know what I mean? So, and it
Absolutely.
makes
Yeah.
sense. It makes sense to have a pool over there too. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, we know where you'll be every weekend then.
oh man,
Once that pool's
yeah, dude, I was over there. He has a couple 4-wheelers, and kids were like wanting us to take them around, and so I was like, okay. So I get on it, and last time I rode a 4-wheeler, I was in Costa Rica on this like expedition thing. Man, I was on it for a half hour. Like I did not want to get off. I was like a kid, and we were going anywhere I mean, it's a big property, so you can get around like good enough, but like you're just around circles, man. I could have gone for another hour, man. I was having a good old life, but
Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
I've got some folks now looking for they're looking for land. They're they're on an acre now, and they want one of the ones the husband sent me was a 16 acre like a small house on 16 acres, and it already had trails that the previous the current owners have been using to ride their ATVs and stuff on. So yeah, that's a lot of fun to do that stuff.
It really is, man. I loved it. I had a good time. So I don't have any credit tips of the day yet. But I did want to just kind of correlate, if you are interested in actually signing up, I use E-Trade. I'm not sponsored by them at all by any means, but shoot, might as well plug them anyway. If you use, let's see, there's a link on this website. It's basically like referral as a current client. What should I call it? Yeah. Well, if you sign up for an E-Trade account and use me as a reference or whatever, I'll get a $50 gift card and all that good stuff. But might as well get something out of it, all that good stuff. But yeah, and the minimums at E-Trade I think are $500 to $1,000. So really, it's not. Oh, $500 is a minimum account. So it's really not a lot of money to get started there, but I figure take a little bit of advantage of our recommendations here and all that good stuff. But
you should post the link in the chat in case anybody wants to hit you up.
Yeah, I don't know where it is exactly, but it's somewhere down here. But yeah, I'll post it down later if I can find it.
Yeah. Cool.
Anyway, but back to the show. Here is the morning from Brad.
All right, so I shifted gears a little bit because I've been talking about updates on houses and different things you can do to improve the value of your home or maintain the value of your home. And I've seen a lot of conversations about affordability, and I wanted to touch on some things. I work at Keller Williams, and we recently had an event in Austin, Texas, where they're based out of, called Mega Camp. And they shared some really valuable information that they encouraged us to share with our folks as we have these conversations, because it's kind of one of the reasons we started this, was to have these intelligent conversations with with folks about real life stuff. This isn't the sexy podcast, like the fun stuff, like the cards and comics and all that other stuff we collect. This is like the relevant everyday stuff that we have to pay attention to. So we'll talk a little bit about affordability. And one of the things I see is when we look at our current situation, people are looking back to two really specific points in time. They're looking back to the 2008 real estate crash in comparison, and they're also looking back into the 80s when interest rates were really, really high. And so I wanted to take a look at that and just kind of share some data that I thought was really important and I think will be beneficial as you navigate this current market. So in order to do this, thank you, Michael Baker. We got a 9.8. We got
I love it.
An MB 9.8. Michael Baker approved. So nice. I'm going to share.
Okay.
Let's see. Not the tab. I want to share. I've got a document I pulled up. Let's see. Okay, let me see if I can. All right, this is it. Let's see how this works. Okay, the permission. Give me just a second. But you've noticed, like in the Discord, we've had some we've had some a lot of conversations about, people are starting to share articles and stuff like that with with us that they see, and I really appreciate that. Okay. Let me see if I can.
Is it a link or?
Well, it's when I go to share. When I go to share it, let me see if this works. It's not. I don't. It does. It's not giving me permission.
Huh.
It says I've got to quit Chrome in order for it to go into effect. Let's see. How can I work around this? Let me hold on a sec. I'll send this to you. So what are some things that you? What are some things? If I sent this to you, if I emailed this to you, do you have access to that where you are?
Yeah, I can put it on email.
All right.
I'll give you my email.
I've got your I've got it because I send you my my monthly email.
Which I did read the other day, and I it's really cool about your emails is that you have a little like dinner recipe at the bottom for the overtime IO. It's kind of cool. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I got it. Okay, sorry for the delay here, folks. We are I just wanted to make sure I get this over. So if I send it to you, I'll just have you pull it up and all right, mortgage rates. But I think it's interesting to look to kind of compare what we're seeing now to what's happened in the past, and maybe if we're able to use that to help us move forward and kind of navigate what we're dealing with today. All right. So but use that information from the past to help us kind of navigate where we are now and help us navigate things moving forward, maybe kind of determine what's happening as we move forward. You're right, Michael Baker. But if y'all got any questions or anything, hit us up. That's what we're here for. If you're watching for the first time, we certainly appreciate it. That is it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see. That's it's just a PDF.
Yeah. No, it's good. I've seen this one many times. I'm very familiar with this. Yeah.
So if you look, so we've got the historical average for mortgage rates, and there's going to be, I think there's four. There's actually 4 slides or 4. It's a 4-page document. So you've got the historical average is in. I can't even tell what color that is, but 90 to 1990 to 2021. So it's got us here like the historical average from 72 to 21 is it's almost 8%. The historical average from 1990 to 2021 is about 6%. We're actually probably sitting a little higher than that projection there. That was from earlier in August, but we're somewhere in between those two numbers. So in the 80s, we're looking at almost 17% interest rate. And that's the one thing that people mention a lot. They'll mention that it was but 17%, but the homes, I was talking to my mom this weekend when we were in the mountains.
Yeah.
They purchased their home in 78, and it's the home they're in now. They purchased their home in 78, and it was about that same interest rate, and they paid $45,000 for their house. So
yeah.
So if you click on the next slide or the next page of that document.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
affordability. So the historical average. So we're looking at this graph here is the principal and interest as percentage of income. So the historical average over this course of time is 27%. So the principal and interest of your mortgage is historically is about 27% of your income. You'll notice
Mhm.
that even though, interest rates were higher and home prices were lower, that in 1981 that represented 49% of your income,
Mhm.
which I was really surprised. But then I look back, when I was in high school, um, I'll uh, I'll date myself. There might even be some of the people I invited from Facebook who I went to high school with. They'll call me out if I don't call myself out. But yeah, thanks, Michael. Yeah, we're this is like this is Magic and I'm a Celtics fan, but it's like Magic and Kareem or something. Um,
You could say Ray. You could say Ray and KG. That's cool. I'm cool with
okay,
that.
all right, all right. The old Sonics tandem.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
Um, um, but so I remember being in high school. I graduated in 1987 and thinking,
Mhm.
okay, I'll go to college, I'll get a degree, I'll go to work for a company, and I'll make a great salary of $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that was, that was late 80s. So,
Mhm.
you got to probably project that it was, somewhere that would have been a really good salary in the early 80s. And then you kind of look at, if you move over, they've marked 2006 there as well, and it represent
Mhm.
home values, or home prices. The principal and interest as percentage of income was 32%, so it was a little elevated from that historic average of 27. And here now we're at 29%, so we're just 2%
Mhm.
above the historical average. So one of the things that happened is what, basically ever since 2006, 2008, really, we've been living below that line. So
Mhm.
home prices go up and interest rates go up, and it all happens so quickly at the same time that we've
Right.
we've just had to bear the brunt of so much of this stuff. But when you put it in perspective like this, it's not as drastic of a historically, it's not as drastic of um, deviation from where we should be, perhaps.
Right.
What do you think about this?
One, I love that you brought this graph up. It's a really easy and like point kind of like way to look at it, right? I think look at it like negative, and you know, I look at rates every day, and yes, they are. It's what sucks for me is that I don't see it's a it's an instrument of like prices aren't going down and people are and the supply is getting worse because people don't want to move out of their 3% 30-year mortgage they got out in 2020 2021. It's but the need and the want and the ability to buy a home is still there. So always remember what this broker told me back in 2006 when I was kind of a young lad out of college. And he was like, it doesn't matter where interest rates are, as long as someone has the affordability and the ability to buy a house they want to, they're going to do it. Um, it's the same kind of stigma, I think, when someone buys like a Mercedes 50,000 at a rate of 15%. It's like people are going to do that. It doesn't matter what the rate is. Now, the people that don't have the ability to buy a house, they're kind of out of it, right? So, but we're not even talking about those people. Is it unfortunate that people are paying like pretty high prices at higher rates? Yeah, but it's not 2000. People keep saying, is this 2008 all over again? It's not. It's just not. The employment's really good. The economy, oddly enough, I mean, the S&P 500 is at 4,500. The only thing that's going to hurt the stock market and equities is rates, but they're not doing it yet. And until we see that, until we see layoffs and until we see unemployment rise, I think people are going to be okay. So I don't know if we'll get to that 32% in 2006, but I don't think it's unhealthy to get to that point and then to see it tick down, right? So if it takes the sacrifice, right, is like if it takes a kind of a softer landing, if it takes rates to go up to 8.5%, then I'll sit through the pain, because in the future we'll have rates will go back down, things will kind of get back to normal, and the craziness will be gone with. And I think it's a sacrifice that needs to happen, just like in comic books. There need to be normalcy in comic books. You couldn't just go to the comic book store and get like a fourth appearance or a fourth the great grandson of Blade and think you could make $50 like the next week. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So I think in retrospect, like, yeah, it's not fun to like talk about unemployment, and it's not fun to talk about how things are getting more expensive, but there has to be kind of like consumption has to go down at some point, and an overall kind of thing for it to be healthy. I don't want to see S&P 500 at 5,000. I'd rather see it at 4, because that tells me that things are going to come back to that mean, and people are going to stop buying Blade's great grandson and trying to flip it for $50.
Right.
But I think this is a great kind of perspective to see it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
Especially if you own a house, like you're in a really good position if you own a house. And I think, like when it comes to finance, like obviously like the kind of lifestyle, but more so the investment first step is to buy a home, because at that point you can really grow your wealth. I mean, this is my plug for you. The number one way in America to gain wealth is through a home. It just takes time, but it's just nothing's gonna, unless like I don't know, maybe it'll change one day. But on average, like not every kid's buying NFTs, not every kid's open up packs of Shohei Ohtani rookie cards. It's 1 in maybe 50 people are doing that. I don't know what the stats are, but the most common way, as you become an adult, is through real estate, and just getting a mortgage and like waiting for the equity to rise. It's
Yeah,
until go ahead.
That's a great segue to the next slide, which deals with appreciation and kind of where things are now, and again historically. We've always said that you and I have talked about it a number of times. The average appreciation for a home annually is about 3 to 5%. That's a normal amount of appreciation. So you're right. When you buy a home, you're starting to build, you're starting to build that wealth. I talked to, I was on the phone a good bit today, talking to past clients and potential clients. And I told them, I said, you bought your house during the pandemic. We were looking at houses during the pandemic, which was interesting. And I said, but what other investment have y'all made where you look back, you got a ton of equity. They paid less than $200,000 for their house, and their exact floor plan just sold in a day for what's up, Brian? Their exact floor plan just sold in a day they paid less than 200. It sold for like 360, I think. And that was during the pandemic. I said, what other investment? I'm sure y'all are savvy investors. What other investment do you have that's netted you that kind of return in a few years? They're like, no, we're like super excited. And, you don't know when you're buying during the pandemic that's going to happen, but you can't time it. You and I do this every day, and we can't time, do it now, to get the most. We can't time that, but they were super excited about the prospects before them. So the bars are annual. It's a little annual. Is that annual median home price? Okay, annual median home price, and we go all the way back from 1990 to present. So the line is long-term, the long-term trend. So if we say 3 to 5%, let's split the difference and call it 4. Let's just say on average we're hitting 4%. So that green line is normal appreciation from 1990 to present, and that just, where things should be. So when people ask, is this 2008 all over again, 2006 all over again? Well, if you look at the home prices, the trend versus the actuality there, it was 21% above the trend in 2006. So that's where home prices were selling for that much above. And part of the reason we got sticker shock in the last few years was we lived from 2009 all the way up until about 2021. It was the first year it rose above that trend, that long-term trend of 4%. We lived for a long time under that line. And so we were getting great deals on houses, and then finally it peaked over. But people say, well, houses are just too expensive now. We're actually only 7% above the projection of that 4% long-term increase. So it's not as, again, and you've mentioned this a bunch since we've been doing this podcast, but it's felt like it because it happened quickly in the last few years. It's felt worse, but home values have actually been under what they should have been since the market crashed. So again, this is just to put it into perspective for everyone. I would say that, in 2006, being so high above, but home values, we lived under that. I think they were undervalued until 2021. It would kind of be my argument, is they've been undervalued for almost 10 years, a little over 10 years actually. So what are your thoughts on that, seeing that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really great representation and of something that I never really thought of, just because I don't look at the data. But I think another thing to kind of add on to what kind of proves that it isn't 2008, 2007, 2006 is obviously the above trend type of deal, right? But on the lower graphs of 2021, 2022, 2023, you see a huge increase, but all the mortgages throughout this time here, they're not the same mortgages over here. They're like, average 3.25%. I'm pretty sure the people that bought around 2021, like here to 2021, or even 2019 and even 2018, they probably refied 2 to 3 years later and got rid of mortgage insurance. It's like you're a double kind of whammy, right?
And if they were really smart, they refinanced for what they owed, not what the value of the house was, unless they needed to do something to the house. But if you refinance for 3.5% or 3%, and hey, I only owe 300,000 on my house, so I'm just going to do that amount. It doesn't matter that it's worth 60 grand over that or whatever.
Or maybe you refinance a 20-year loan and you still got a drop in your payment, stuff like that. There's a lot of data that's not in here for people that got in at the lower rates and whatnot. So as a whole, like I said, it's tough to, and here's the other thing too. So even if you bought at the peak of 2022, like last year, you still have a really affordable rate. And so even if your home is still like, you haven't got that much equity, you've only been in it for a year. It's not like you're like, oh shoot, I'm down $5,000 on the value of my home, I'm going to sell. Because if you sell, you're going to sell at a loss, and then your payment's going to go up because you're in a really nice home anyway. You know what I mean? So that was another point that people made to me. It was like, oh, well, if you bought in 2022, you don't have any, your equity is lower. I'm like, yeah, but your rate is at 3.5%. So who gives a shit,
Well, and that sounds like a news story. There was a story on the news that said that, like, or I saw an article or something. It was one of these, and unfortunately, it was a big national of course, it was a national publication that said this, but they were like, 70% of people who bought within the last year are underwater. And I'm like, who's looking to sell now? Like
Yeah.
this is not the short game. This is not a marathon. It's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint. We're
Yeah.
not we're not flipping, they're not flipping their primary residence. That's, over the course of time until recently, that's always been the case. 3 to 5% a year, it takes a while to build up. Typically, we've just had this crazy run here, where you could buy 3 years ago and have 100 grand in equity or something. But sure, yeah, that's the way it always works. That's historically, that's the way that happens. That's, yeah, you can't buy in a year later have this ridiculous amount of equity. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought it was cool to share
really
this.
great. It's really great, man. I love it.
And that's kind of why I deviated from the, we've had a really good time doing the remodeling and upgrade stuff, but I've seen so many conversations, and primarily in the Discord in our section there, talking about, sharing articles and talking about stuff. And I thought this would be helpful to kind of just, let's take a deep breath and put things in perspective and see what's really happening here. It doesn't take, now if we were 21%, like in 2006, if we were 21% above that long-term 4% trend, I'd be scared. But we're just kind of digging out of homes not being undervalued for so long. So, and the final slide just kind of shows what, it puts into perspective. I thought this was really interesting. 70% of homeowners have at least 50% equity in their homes.
That's amazing.
It is. Yeah. That's just, let that, if you're watching live or you're watching us on the replay, just kind of let that sink in and think about it a little bit. But I've been, as we've had these conversations with folks, I've been doing a lot of research myself. We talked about this the last show, just kind of understanding where we are. And somebody had mentioned, well, interest rates are high, and home prices are high. And you say, okay, well, what happens when interest rates go down? What do you think happens to home prices? All right. And then you got more players in the game. So not only are home prices going to go up, but you've got more competition because there's more. Right now, the people I'm working with are people who they I don't want to say they need to sell, but you don't have the people who want to. You have the people who have a real necessity to sell. I've got a listing appointment on Monday they've already built their house and didn't sell their current residence so they could slowly transition their things over, not have to rush. So I'm meeting them on Monday to sell their former primary residence. So it's those people are who I'm running into now. It's not the ones who are moving because they have $80,000 in equity, or it's the people who really have a need to move. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you're waiting on home prices to go down, I think we both kind of see that it's going to be a while before things level out, where we've got a deficit. You've seen it, I've seen it on my end. We've got a supply deficit right now, and it'll take a while for those things to level out. So, if you legitimately have a desire to move, we can't time it. So
it's really hard.
It's doubtful that you'll be able to, as crazy as things are as quickly as things are changing right now. So, just make the decision that's right for you. When I first got into real estate, somebody mentioned, look, you buy and sell in the market you're in. If you weren't ready to buy when it was 3%, don't reflect on that. It wasn't an option then.
Yeah.
We're in this current market. So I would rather get you a house at what I would consider prices right now a good price, because if rates go down and prices go up, let's lock you in. We can fix the rate later, but I can't guarantee you that you won't have competition where you got to pay over list price and get into that whole thing again. So just a different perspective, something to think about. And we raise these questions so that if you've been thinking about it or you've got questions about this stuff, hit us up and let us know. We're that's what we're here for, is to answer these questions. But I just thought it would be, we deviate from the upgrade stuff this week just to kind of go over this stuff, because I thought it was important just to share a different perspective on things.
Yeah, and I think homeowners, I mean, just by that last slide, homeowners are in a completely, they are, even if you bought in 2021, let's just say 2022 is kind of tough, right? But even if you bought in 2021, and I think you didn't even touch on the housing affordability of current homeowners that are already locked in 2021, 2022. They're, well, you did a little bit, I guess, but like I'm just thinking of like people, even if you don't have equity in 2022 because you bought in 2022, you still have, I mean, a majority of your income isn't really hitting your mortgage payment because your rate is so low still. And you got time. Like Brad was saying, you got, this is the short, it's not a short man's game. It's the long game, and that's the way it should be, because you're owning your home. Leave the flippers to the flippers, right? And kind of reiterate, like, yeah, interest rates are high. Like I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not gonna say you're dumb for not buying a house, or for not being in the market because the rates are so high. But don't let that deter you if your budget or your ability to buy a home is only 29% of your income, because it's just all about the monthly. It really is when it comes down to it. If you can afford the monthly, the rate doesn't care. It's just water cooler talk. It's just like, oh my God, it's that. And it's a sticker
Well
shock for
said.
sure.
Yeah.
But if you make $140,000 and you're buying a condo for $200K and your rate's 8%, who cares? You're a homeowner that, and I actually don't mind the people that prefer to rent, that don't want to have a home. They're never going to be in that market. So if you're that type, that's cool too. But if you're thinking about it, you're never going to know until you know. You know what I mean? So
and
yeah,
and that's why we do this. It's having these conversations so you can think. So many people make a decision based on what they hear in the read or see on the news, and just kind of assume things. It doesn't hurt to ask, to check, to ask me or
sure.
ask Ferd, or just to see, hey, I'm just kind of kicking the tires here. I'm not really sure I want to do this, but I'm curious enough to get the ball rolling. And that it's one of the reasons it's kind of inspired me on my day-to-day, my weekly stuff, is just to have conversations. I call people I don't think are really in the market, just to kind of catch up with them, to see how things are going. How's the kids? How's married life treating you? That kind of stuff. And in those conversations, yeah, we might want to move in the next 5 years, maybe raise the kids by the lake. And then we get to talking. Oh, we've actually ridden by some houses. At night, grab our laptops and we're looking up houses. And I'm like, all right, well, that doesn't sound like 5 years. That sounds like if I find the right thing, maybe now's the time. So,
Sure.
just having those ask questions. I just encourage you. We share this stuff to encourage you to ask us questions, and get some real answers. We've done this. We're a relatively new podcast, but we've done this long enough that I think you probably get a sense for, hey, we're pretty honest guys. We'll be straight up with you. We're not just looking to make a quick buck. We want, Ferd and I both are building. We're trying to build clients for life. I'm not looking for a paycheck. I'm looking for lifelong clients that I'll have a relationship with. So we're here for any questions that you guys may have. If you're watching this on the replay, or visiting YouTube, or checking it out on Facebook, post a question in the comment. We'll track it down and answer those for you. So
Always.
yeah, absolutely.
This is great.
Good old Warren Buffett. So I made my first investment at age. This kind of reminded me of you, which is why I used it, because you were talking about like going to the toy place.
Toys R
Like
Us.
you were, yeah, Toys R Us. You had a story about like Toys R Us, and you invested in a stock like really young, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like 17. It was Kid Entertainment. They were the sole distributor of anything Pokemon in the US.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this made me think about, I remembered you talking about that. I made my first investment at age 11. I was wasting my life up until then.
I
So
love it, man. That's
that's a
great.
great, yeah, that's a great perspective. And he's actually, you talk about somebody with the Midas touch, man. Warren Buffett he has got it. So yeah, look at Michael Baker's got a great memory.
Yeah, it
He's
really does.
yeah, the
Someone's
callback
paying
from,
attention to us.
I know, man. Thank you. We appreciate it. But yeah, man, that was yeah, so hopefully that was informative, man. I really like your segment as well.
Yeah. And you know what? I think, Brad, too, what you do a really good job at is like, I think people are intimidated when it comes to money, and like anything, it's just because you don't know enough about it. But I think like the slides you did today are really nice because you just kind of lay it out, and it's not even like there wasn't that many words. It was just graphs and lines, but it's a lot of data, but it's simplified for people that either don't have the patience to read all that stuff or don't understand it, which I think is really good though. And I think sometimes like I kind of ramble a little bit about just like stuff. I think it's just more of my concern that I just want people to know and just kind of, be a sponge when we're talking about stuff. But I think also like, whether it's investing in stocks or thinking about investing in stocks or, deciding, oh, should I apply now? Or like, I don't know about my credit history and like all this stuff. Like, don't overthink it. Let the experts do their job. Just like when you go like to Best Buy and you see that nerdy ass guy who looks like he knows a lot of stuff and he's working in the, I don't know, PC section, and you have no idea what a PC is for. Don't be shy to go up to them and ask them dumb questions like that, because that's what they're getting paid for. Um, and don't overcomplicate things for yourself, because you're just going to stress yourself out, and you're going to ask questions to yourself like, or you're going to say stuff like, damn, I wish I would have tried at least the way I knew. And now I maybe could have afforded something, but I'll never know because I can't go back a year from now, So, um, it's just, this is just one of those things. And like Brad was kind of saying, like, it would be great to get like 10 clients a show for this show. And I'm sure Brad would be like, it'd be awesome having to get like 15 clients. But I think really when we came together to talk about doing the show together, yeah, that was kind of like a secondary, third kind of like thing to have. But really, I think our goal was to cultivate a community from the community we're a part of that we could help and like kind of engage with. And Michael, anytime, man, if I were on the East Coast, definitely hit you up for sure. I would really, that'd be like the coolest thing ever. If you're ever in Seattle, like just don't be shy. I'll talk your off for about 2 hours, but and Brad, you're always welcome here. I still got that 6-pack of Botox in here for you. So these
Yeah,
days.
I was hooked when I heard about that. That yeah, I'm definitely down for that. And of course, same here, man. I will
Yeah.
I'll do my best to try to make y'all stay in South Carolina though. So but I like showing people when they visit. Like Brian LCS, who's in the chat, has been here, and I've taken him around town just to show him
Oh,
stuff.
cool.
And it's like, wow, okay, all right, this is it's not small town. Now compared to Seattle, of course it is, but it's not. We've got just a lot, a lot of stuff going for us. So I would cherish the opportunity to be your tour guide if you're ever in the area. So yeah, thank you, Michael Baker. I appreciate it.
Yeah, really, like from the bottom of my heart, that's really cool to say. We got 8 live today. I think that was a good showing for the show. We're gonna try and continue. Obviously, a little bit, it was a little inconsistent last week. I had a lot of family background stuff going on, but powering through. and just trying to keep you guys informed and just help you out in any way we can. I hope this is my one wish to see from our chat is that either, I mean, okay, like, it'd be cool if people made an application for like a mortgage with either myself or whomever, or trying to buy a house with Brad. But I really, really would hope that someone actually, and that E-Trade referral I can't find anymore, which is fine. But I would feel like a completist in this show at this point if someone took our advice and actually implemented it, like open up a Scottrade account or an E-Trade account for $500. I know not everyone, I don't know everyone's financial situation, but like if you're able to do it and you like our show, like use the information we're giving you. It's free. And we're not making money off of it. We're just, taking our time to, and then which we love doing. It's not a thorn on my side at all whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, like take our advice, and then at that point, you can ask us more questions to kind of help us determine what we can do for you guys and all that good stuff. Brad, do you have any closing thoughts on today's show at all?
Just want to thank everybody for hanging out, and I'm curious if we got any. We're doing this dual stream thing, so we're. I think there's something I'm going to tweak next time where I'll set you up on Facebook to like co-host it so that you can invite people. I ended up inviting like 475 people to this live Facebook event. So if you're watching, thank you. If you're going to check it later, go to, I posted the link to YouTube and to Facebook. You can see it either place. But I appreciate you guys checking it out. If you've got questions, like Ferd said, that's really what we want out of this is, it would be great to have, for somebody to use one of us down the road based on us doing this. But ultimately, if we can answer questions for you and be a resource and share what we know with you, we want to be, especially, in these the current times that we're in, it's as important as ever to know what's happening and don't be shy and ask questions. So yeah, that's I was just reading Michael. Yes, Brian, plenty to see in SC, and Michael, I have an account with Edward Jones. I should tell my rep to watch this show. There you go.
You might come in here and be like, I don't know about that Ferd guy. He's kind of, I don't know. He's not wearing ties.
I can't imagine anybody saying that. I've learned a lot from you, man. I've really enjoyed your segments, and you guys post comments and questions wherever you or hit us up on Instagram or Facebook Messenger or whatever. Just send us some questions if you got any. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and I'll be posting some more stuff to kind of add-ons to the show as well. Little short like videos here and there, and maybe Brad will be able to do that too. No pressure, but like if you ever need to, like let me know. I'll give you the login and all that good stuff. But you guys have a great week. We're almost there. I know it's like the second day of this week, so I'm kind of thrown off a little bit. But yeah, thanks again for your support, everyone. Have a great end of your week. I will be on OTR tomorrow at 6:30. So anyone in the chat want to come through, only the rarest. We're back on track at 6:30 Pacific time. And then my show on Friday, I'm actually doing a manga show on my Ferd the Nerd channel and our regular show on Sunday as well. So hope to see y'all there. Busy man. But what was that? Keep busy living, keep busy dying from Shawshank. I don't remember.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. You got it.
Anyway. All right, guys. Thanks again for your support. We'll see you next week. Have a great end of your week.